This is the absolute worst time in history to buy a house. Did you ever think that you would need more than $500,000 to buy this? Or this? Or this? In literally 5 years, home prices have shot up to ridiculous levels. Guess what? This is the worst time in history to buy a home, and I'll show you why right now. This show is brought to you by Sachs Realty Education. Here you can find my Todd Simple Home Buying course. It's self-paced, packed with insider secrets, teaching homebuyers how to save potentially tens of thousands of dollars when buying a home and how to avoid costly mistakes. The link is pinned in the comments below. House prices have shot up by 40 to 50% in many popular markets since the mid-2020s. Let's take a look at this chart of median sales prices of houses sold. Now, not even when the housing bubble burst in 2007 did we see home prices shoot up like we did from 2020 to 2023. Even with home prices dropping like a hot dog falling off your hamburger bun. To this chart, median home sales prices are still way above 2020 levels. Now, the reason for the highest home prices in history is because the Fed suppressed mortgage rates to the lowest level in history by buying mortgage-backed securities. 2.75% is what some people were able to get during the pandemic boom for 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. Now, that drove down the monthly payments on mortgage debt, right? So what happens when you drive down monthly payments? Well, people can afford a higher-priced house. The cost of living is at an all-time high. The Economic Research Service of the USDA reported that U.S. food prices rose by 23.6% from 2020 to 2024. And in this price chart, you can see that besides food, transportation rose by almost 35%, and then housing, including your rent, by almost 25%. Transportation, food, and housing are kind of like life's necessities. Another reason why it's a bad time to buy a house is that most people are broke. They don't have any money in their bank accounts. The average person's savings rate today is at the lowest level since the Fed has been tracking this data back to 1959. That is, of course, except for the 2008 period, which was the great financial crisis, which I believe we're headed for today. It seems harder for people to build a savings account. You need cash in a bank to buy a house. Recent reports say that wage growth is outpacing inflation, yet much of our younger generation can't save enough for the minimum down payment for a house, which, by the way, to buy a $450,000 house today, you would need about $20,000 to $23,000 out of pocket cash money to buy the house, because you'd have a minimum of 3 or 3.5% down, and then you'd have things like your closing costs, your title fees, your inspection fees. It's not a little bit of money to buy a house, right? Let's talk about the job market for a minute, because obviously wages aren't keeping up. I don't think they're keeping up with the prices of things, despite the reports that you hear. And in July of this year, the popular site that's post your resume and look for a job, it's called Indeed. You ever hear of that site before? They posted an article in July kind of talking to employers, giving them 17 helpful ways to lower labor costs. So number 2 on the importance chart of 17 says improve your efficiency. So when you or your team completes tasks faster, this reduces the time that you're at work, which can lower labor costs. It also means that you can do the same task with fewer people. So in other words, find ways to produce more with less people. Basic economics, right? This reminds me of a chart that I saw on EPI.org. The article was written, it says wage stagnation in 9 charts. Now, this dates back a few years, but you'll get my point. Job production as technology improves has increased over the years, as you would expect. So let's take a look at this chart. Workers produced much more, but typical workers' pay lagged far behind. And this was from 1948 to 2013. But you could see what happened somewhere in that 1973 range. Production went up, hourly compensation actually dropped, and you could see back in 2013, it really was stagnant, right? So we got more out of our employees, but we didn't pay them for that additional production. Now, maybe this is one of the reasons for massive corporate profits today. But I get it. Who doesn't want more profits? After all, it's capitalism, right? Or crony capitalism. I'll let you look up the difference between the two. Back to the Indeed article to show you number 12. Consider part-time labor. So part-time employees are those who work at your company for 30 hours or fewer each week. And one of the advantages of hiring part-time employees is you don't need to offer benefits like paid holidays. Consider offering more part-time positions than full-time positions to help lower labor expenses. That will help people buy houses. And finally, number 17, work with freelancers. Working with freelance employees means you can outsource work with less overhead costs. Additionally, like part-time employees, companies aren't obligated to offer freelance individuals benefits. Do you think people are feeling overly safe at their jobs right now? Buying a house is a long-term commitment, and in most cases with today's house prices to income ratios, most of our first-time homebuyers need multiple incomes to afford a house. If one of these income providers suddenly loses their job, or maybe they get cut back to part-time, they may be in financial trouble in a matter of weeks. So why are so many millennials and Gen Zs nervous about buying a house? Well, there's the threat of AI. But AI is going to increase jobs, right? Oh my gosh, guys, this is going to be the best thing ever. It's going to increase jobs. We're not going to see any jobs get cut. On Deloitte.com, May 14th, they published their 14th edition. They've been doing this for a while of Deloitte Global Gen Z and Millennial Survey. They examined the responses of more than 23,000 participants across 44 countries, projected to make up 74% of the global workplace by 2030. The survey found that 3/4 of Gen Zs, 74%, and millennials, 77%, believe Gen AI will impact the way they work within the next year. And more than half of the respondents already use Gen AI in their day-to-day work, with 29% of Gen Zs and 30% of millennials using it all or most of the time. Gen AI users have mixed feelings about its impact. Gen AI users report that Gen AI improves the quality of their work and their work-life balance, but more than 6 in 10 also worry it will eliminate jobs. This is a major consideration, right? If you're going to buy a house, we've never seen disruption like we may see in the next several years. And this is also impacting how our young people are looking at committing to buying homes. Buying a house today will also mean the cost to own it has never been higher. Homeowners insurance premiums have increased significantly, and on CNBC.com, they wrote an article in May. Homeowners insurance has soared over 50% in these states. Now, these are not even the states you would have expected. Utah went up 59%, Illinois 50%, Arizona 48%, Pennsylvania 44%, and Nebraska 35%. And according to the CFA director of housing, she said the skyrocketing price of insurance premiums is deepening the housing crisis, and homeowners across the country are feeling the strain. And property taxes have increased to all-time highs on a nationwide average of nearly 30%. HOA fees, condominium fees, and home maintenance and repair fees are also at all-time highs. Now, I do have some great news for those wanting to buy a house, if you can believe that. The last 5 years of fantasy land of home prices is, in my opinion, over for quite some time. I think it's fair to say that homeownership costs have topped out, and we're now seeing the results of what home buyers can actually afford as house for sale inventory is skyrocketing and home prices are falling. I do believe that this downward price trend will continue despite any efforts to push down mortgage interest rates. So home buyers, get ready to have a bigger selection of houses to choose from and be prepared and knowledgeable of the home buying process, including how to negotiate your best deal. You can learn this and more on my Todd Simple Home Buying course. It will be the best $300 that you spend while shopping for a home. And if you're listening to this and you're not looking to buy a home, you can gift this course to your family and friends. You can check it out. The website link is below, or just simply go to saxrealty.education. If you got value from today's video, you can let me know by smashing that thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, what are you waiting for? Consider doing so now. Heck, you can even join. We actually have a way that you can support our channel. You can join as a member. All that stuff is below. See you next time. Sachs Realty, Maryland broker number 607720, office number 443-318-4514, equal housing opportunity.